Hi, this is Jindo. Welcome to Tree Leaf. I better stop. I'm getting blue in the face. But that's our subject today, breath and Zazen. And here's my basic advice to you on breath and Zazen. Don't stop, at least for not longer than 3 or 4 minutes. I mean, there's old stories that the Buddha, before he was the Buddha, did some yogic practices and he could actually breathe through his ears. But I'm not advising you to do that. Our focus today is normal, healthy breathing during Zazen. And I'm glad Yuriko the cat has shown up to help me today because actually my cat allergies come to play in this too, but we'll get to that later. But what about breath during Zazen? In this series for beginners, I'm going to recommend a little more than I used to that sitters, especially new folks, center their attention on the breath. Specifically, right here, where the breath comes into the body and out of the body through the nose. Why? The breath is a very traditional, beautiful place to focus the attention so that all the distractions of the mind can be let go. We've been talking the past few days about sitting like the clear blue sky that just lets the clouds drift through, or sitting like the mirror. Well, by keeping the attention on the breath, one can let the clouds go. Let the thoughts in the mirror be, and just be with the breath, in and out, in and out. Now, we don't actually need to say in or out. We can just feel it. In some recommendations that you'll find from some teachers for beginners, they advise you to count the breaths. You can do that at the beginning. 1. The breath reaches the top. 2. I think you get the idea. They usually recommend that we count to 10 and then begin again. And that's kind of tricky for many beginners. You find that before you get to 10, your mind is off someplace else and you never quite get there. But beyond that, there's just following the breath. You could say in, out, but I recommend you just feel it. Now, at a certain point in your practice, I'm going to advise you to just let everything in your environment be. Don't focus on the breath. Just be with everything in the room where you sit, or even everything in the world. Just not thinking about it, letting it be. We say, focused on everything and nothing in particular. That now becomes your point of attention. Why? Well, focusing on the breath is lovely when we're sitting Zazen, but going out into the world, learning that this is something we take off the cushion and bring into life, you can't always focus just on your breath. So we sit with what is called open, spacious awareness, focused on all things, yet allowing, not judging, like the mirror, like the sky. You see? Now, a few more points about the breath. Breaths traditionally were said to come down. Oh, my cat's blocking it. Come down here to the hara. Hara is about this much below the navel. And that in traditional Chinese medicine was said to be the center of key energy. And traditionally, they actually believed that the breath would not stop at the lungs, but would continue down there. And some very traditional folks still believe that. Well, I got to tell you, I don't believe that the breath actually passes through the lungs and gets way down here. And, well, we can leave discussion of the hara for another day. But the point is, this is the center of balance. This is breathing with the diaphragm. Like a good opera singer, you learn to breathe fully using the entire body and let the breaths feel as if they're coming down here. You see. Breathing through the nose. We start Zazen by shifting a little back and forth this way, a little back and forth this way. We take 3 deep breaths. Then we breathe, if we can, through the nose. I say if we can because I mentioned my cat allergies. I do have cat allergies and I take medication for it. It's a long story, but we love the cat. It's worth it. I take my medicine, but on some days I'm just a little bit wheezy, can't help it. And I breathe as best I can. But if possible, breathe through the nose. Let your allergies be your allergies too on those days. Accept them. But if you can, breathe here. And also, we don't try to do in Shikantaza Zazen anything forced or unusual with the breath. Let me explain. Dogen Zenji taught that long breaths are just long, short breaths are just short. We don't try to force them to be deep. We don't try to force them to be long. We don't try to force them any way at all. We just allow them to take their natural, easy pace. And a funny thing you'll encounter in Zazen, as you relax, they will slow. Sometimes it seems maybe even 1 breath a minute, it feels like. Other days, more normal pace. But just let the breath, deeply as if down to the hara, come and go. There are some forms of meditation that try to use the breath in a yogic way to reach very deep, intense spiritual experiences, intense forms of concentration. We don't do that. Our way is to take things as they are in the most radical sense. Nothing forced. All at ease, all in its natural way. Just breathe. There are some teachers of Shikantaza who recommend that you stay with the breath forever. As I said, I recommend that gradually the student transition from being with the breath to being with open, spacious awareness, allowing the whole world focused on everything and nothing in particular. The world is your breath. While you're sitting, following the breath, maybe for a few seconds, a few minutes, transition to open, spacious awareness. And then if you find your mind getting very, very cluttered or distracted, you can come back to the breath. Some teachers say just come back to the feeling of the posture. It's the same thing. Also, even the most experienced practitioners, there are days when, you just have one of those days. Your head's a mess. It's a storm up there. Come back to the breath. Right, Yuriko? We all have days when the mind is cluttered. Come back to the breath. Go to open, spacious awareness. Come back to the breath. You set the mix. You set the pace. Okay? Now, let me give you a couple of more zen-y, wowie interpretations of the breath. This is the borderline, between the inside and the outside, where you're in here and the world is out there, right? And the breath is almost as if something coming in to be part of you, and then you flowing out again to rejoin the world, right? Well, in a sense, in Zen, we lose all that border. What is inside? What is outside? Inside is just flowing in. Outside is just flowing out. It's all one, a beautiful dance. No in, no out. You becoming the world, just you, all in the breath. You don't have to think about that while breathing, but you kind of feel it. Okay? Anyway, that's enough on the breath. If you have any questions on the breath at any time, you can ask. All right? Is that good, Yuriko? That's it.